Haha, you fell for it, you moron. Ha 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 ha. You fell for my clickbait, you moron. No, I'm sorry, you're not a moron. You're kind of smart. Well, I think you're smart, or you're just a moron. Anyway. Okay, but first of all, let me just try and fix this. Oh my god. That's a little better? It's something. I tried. Anyway, hello. I am the Angelic Goth. I usually make music. Well, I do still make music, but I also like to talk about things like boy moms, maybe. Today I'm going to be talking about the amazing Digital Circus and its ending, and how it was, honestly, it was okay. Also, I usually like wear black lipstick for this, but I mean, I'm lazy, but one sec. Okay, one sec. Okay, that's better. I'm so sorry, it just makes me feel so right inside with my inner goth. That sounds cringe when I say that, but I just like it. I just like it. Anyway, let's move on. Anyway, the amazing Digital Circus has finally ended after a long, good 3 years. Since 2023 to the good 2026. And as much as it was an emotional roller coaster of a ride, we finally got an ending, and even though it's not what we all expected, it still made me cry. And I bet a lot of you cried too, so don't just judge me for crying. I bet a lot of you cried too. And in this ending, we got a somewhat canon, actually, of course it's canon. I mean, Gooseworks posted it on Twitter. No. Yeah, I'm gonna call it Twitter. Jax is pretty much trans, and hearing that news, I said, you know what? Good for him. As much as the show kind of wanted us to hate him for being a bit of an a-hole, we still kind of sympathized with him at the end because we kept seeing over and over how he just refused to acknowledge the fact that he was different. And I mean, of course, it's like freaking canon right now because one, we got him in a bow and he looked spectacular. He looks so beautiful, so pretty. Two, we pretty much got Gooseworks confirming it on Twitter, never calling it X, and we got a merch with the title "You Go Girl," kind of pretty much out there. And we literally got a sequence of "Isn't she lovely?" The signs are pretty much all there. I'm sorry. And throughout a little montage, we saw the bits and pieces of Jax's life and how he kind of ended up in the circus, which actually I will cover later. We see how his life at home wasn't really great. Almost no dad in sight, gone. Mom, kind of emotionally abusive. And Jax just in the middle of there, just being so sad and so confused, until one day he confessed to his mom something deep and personal, which might have been, and this is just theory, how he was trans. Then his mom laughed, but then hugged him, and he was confused, and then he pushed her pretty hard, and she didn't move. But instead of seeing if his mom was alive, he just ran away, and he was homeless for a while. And then when he ended up in the circus, he had friends like Hoffmo and Ribbit. But after confessing about how he ended up there to Ribbit and how he felt, and Ribbit putting a bow on his head, and the moment being tragically disrupted, he panicked and started isolating himself from Ribbit. And then soon later on, Ribbit abstracted. And as the last mention of Ribbit, Jax told Ragatha to never mention Ribbit's name ever again. And I think after that, he started self-loathing himself a little. That opening up to people will always get them hurt or destroyed. Yeah. Sorry, that sounded deep, but that's just how it was. That's just how it was in the show. So, and in the end, when Pomni went inside of Jax, abstract Jax is abstract, and she saw what happened and how everything escalated. Jax kind of just said, refused to kind of get help because he thought that he didn't deserve to be saved or loved or acknowledged for who he was. But Pomni, being a good person, said, nope, I'm going to accept you. I'm going to accept you because you are my friend. One thing I do kind of wish kind of happens is that when the light scene kind of happened, is that, Jax was coming back to his former state. But again, I'm going to cover that later because honestly, I have so many unanswered questions like the rest of you. And to wrap it all up, Jax stayed abstracted, but instead of the crew putting him in a cellar, they just put him in a little tent to rest, which was pretty sweet. It was better than a dark cellar, honestly. Anyway, enough about Jax, God rest his soul. Let's talk about the big plot holes, a lot of plot holes, honestly, because I feel like we missed out on just a hell of a lot of plot holes. Number one I want to talk about is just the characters, because as much as I do I love the characters. I mean, we didn't really get much about how they ended up in the CNA building. I mean, we just don't really know if it was during or after CNA somehow just went out of business. I mean, a few theories that at first that were up in the air was that on one of the occasions that Pomni was doing her haunted house building, she found a headset, put it on, and just took it off and didn't really think about it much. Or another theory that Jax was just exploring, other homes and just somehow stumbled into the building to sleep, or whatever, honestly. And he just found the headset, put it on, and As for the others, we don't know. We don't know, and we'll never know. But you know what? Let's see what the fan theories think. Although when I think about Ragatha's, I mean, there is a possibility that even though, yes, she is a real estate agent, maybe she wanted to try and inspect the building and just one day just stumbled across the headset and put it on. But again, that's just a theory, okay? That's just a theory. So yeah, we never know exactly how each of the characters went into the CNA building and just stumbled onto the headset. But let's go to the second one. The characters. Well, not the main cast. I mean, the characters, before the cast that we know. Because if we look at all the doors, we see that a few of the characters were not really in the mural or something, which either indicates that they didn't really last long and they abstracted fast, or they just forgot to put some of them in. Either way, again, we'll never know. The third thing I wanted to cover, I'm sorry if I'm making each of them short and just straightforward. I don't really know how to probably explain them. Abstractions. And also buckle up, I actually have a lot of questions about this because abstraction. A lot of people really thought that, actually, I don't really fully know if it's true, that abstraction is pretty much death. If it's just like that, just death. Because we never know. I don't know. Because as much as the characters are in there, we saw Jax, we just, I don't really know. And we've pretty much established in episode 7 that Cain technically has the power to alter their minds, with the vegan thing, the stupid sauce. So couldn't he just have that power to fix their minds in a way? But then again, maybe he kind of can't because of what Kinger mentioned about Scratch, which surprisingly was the first abstraction, which a lot of people theorize that maybe Cain had something to do with his abstraction by just constantly changing his mind. I don't fully know, but I don't know. I guess we'll never know. By the end, we don't know if they can be cured. We don't know if it just takes time. We don't fully know why they just happened off screen or something. They have to be in a pretty really dark place or something, or just breaking down. This one scene. Yeah. And the last thing I kind of want to cover, actually, maybe second to last thing. What happened to the CNA? What happened to the CNA building? Really? What really happened to the CNA building? Is like the second last thing I want to know. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Well, we don't know what happened because what did happen? I'm sorry, because you set up a plot about how this entire company made a AI system to just like do a brain scan, and we never know why they went out of business, why is it empty, why we never get to see anyone else, I guess. It just didn't make a lot of sense. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I get that the show maybe didn't have enough time or episodes to just spread a lot of things out, but it would be pretty nice to know exactly like why it just went out of business or how each of the episodes just ended up there. Because again, we'll never know. I guess we'll just never know. It's just mind boggles me that we'll just never know this possible like big important fact. But you know what? I'm not questioning. The ending was fine. It was emotional and it was flippin' fine. Okay, another thing actually. I'm sorry, I just keep popping these up as I'm writing this script, so I'm gonna just go with it. The Void. What exactly is the Void? Because we see Kane come to life. Somehow, this man is alive and in the Void. He was supposedly deleted, and we don't know how. He was just in the Void. We don't know if it's like a recycling. We don't know if it's just outer computer space. We don't know if he has like full control over blah blah blah. It was just there. We don't know what really the Void is. Also, we don't know how Kane's alive. We never see like the recycling bin or whatever. We just, I don't know. We just don't know. We just don't know. Also, another thing. Again, going by the scripts popping up in my mind. The mind files. We all figure out. We all learn that in the end, they're all a bunch of mind files that were not really human. Which, I mean, a lot of us kind of theorized that they were just humans in a coma or whatever, but, I mean, thank goodness. We never know why they don't know their names. We never know why they only remember their past life. Well, their just entire life, and they just don't remember their names. But seriously, why? They remember everything about their lives, but they don't remember their names. Was it Kane? Was it just the file itself? Was it because they just didn't input their name? No, that can't be because of that scene. So we never know why. Also, I want to kind of point out that I think a major reason why Kane never exactly told anyone that they had like the power to create anything they wanted was so he can just have full domain over everything to feel like in control. Because again, the little guy was just trying to do his job. It's not his fault, really. Kind of, but not really. But still, I guess he just didn't want to be alone or left out or whatever. And if they found out that they had the power to make everything that they ever wanted, they just wouldn't need him anymore. But again, that's just a random theory I just want to point out in case you ever kind of wondered that. Anyway. And finally, what happened to the blue AI? AKA Abel. Well, fans calling him Abel because we see Kane let him go. We see him let him go into the void, and that was pretty much just it. And you just have to wonder, that was it? Like, that I feel like the perfect plot for like a season 2 if I'm giving my honest opinion on this. I mean, don't get me wrong, show's over, blah blah blah. But if you let a little blue AI just wander into the void, you don't think that's a bit of just another plot point? Because I'm sorry, you just let a random AI go into the void, and that's just it. because it kind of feels like a starter for a season 2, if I'm being honest. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if we're being guilt tripped, but if that's just the case, if we do get a season 2, let's see what happens. But if we don't, and that's just it, that random AI was just let out into the void. I mean, also, we don't know if that AI is actually Bubble or if it's just a separately different person. Or whatever. Because again, we never see Bubble again. We don't know if it's Kane's thought bubble or the blue AI. We don't know. We just don't know. And Bubble's just gone, I guess. Overall, the ending was fine. I will just say that it was fine. I did cry. It was amazing, but it was also fine. Because on the end of the day, what Jax kind of did doesn't exactly excuse everything, but we do understand kind of why he did it. He just kept pushing people away, just building walls, being an a-hole on purpose just to keep the walls up. Also, he named Gangle because of how pathetic she looked. Kinda not gonna forgive him for that because Gangle's such a sweetheart. She did not deserve that. And as much as I do like Jax as a character, I just also kind of feel bad that it had to be the way that it was, that he had to kind of immerse himself in loneliness just so he wouldn't be hurt again. So, and again, and I'm actually kind of praying, but also maybe it's best to keep it as a way, maybe it's just, this is the way it is. I'm just hoping that we might get a season 2. I'm sorry, I'm doing too much, but if they actually do decide to make a season 2 or whatever of the Amazing Digital Circus, I really do hope that they somehow find a way to resolve abstraction, or we get like a deeper backstory in each of like the characters and how they kind of ended up there. Or yeah, if the second AI is alive, if it's gonna turn into like a humanoid or something like Kane, or wants revenge, or it's just there. I guess we'll just see. But for the meantime, as we are grieving our beautiful, beautiful show come to an end, let's also remember that there are other indie shows and pilots that are still out there to kind of fill the void. Let's just hope they have the same spark as Digital Circus did. Like, I feel like Knights of Guinevere might have that impression. Or Gaslight District. Or Gameoverse. We never know. Or many, many, many other indie pilots that might give us the satisfaction that Digital Circus did. Because it has influenced a lot of people to go for their dreams, make pilots, and make an indie animation amazing. Almost like Vipsy Pop, but that's a whole different section. But anyways, thank you for watching. If you like what I have, thanks. I'll make sure I probably stay tuned or whatever. And if you care enough, you'll subscribe. Or if you don't, that's okay. But it would actually mean a lot if you subscribe. Also, I don't really know how to network or do a lot of things on my own. So I made a song called Finally Let Go. It's pretty much if your best friend kind of, you realize they're not exactly a really good friend and you kind of have to let them go. So also I made another one called Planner. Just put a lot of things in your planner. I plan to talk about my issues if you're that kind of person. But anyway, bye.